All right, here's day 2 of multi-step equations. So the first thing I want you to do, just like we did last time, is start with this first question that I want you guys to try on your own, which is 3, open your parentheses, 4 plus 9x. Now remember, there's no equal sign, so you're not solving, just practice the distributive property. Go ahead and pause and do that now. All right, now that we remember the distributive property, if you did not get that one right, let's try it. So remember, with numbers out in front of parentheses, we're going to distribute or do our loop-de-loops. So 3 times 4 is 12, and then 3 times 9x would be plus 27x. So now we're going to kind of put that into our multi-step equations. So the first one that we're going to do together is going to look like this. 67 equals 4x plus 3. Open your parentheses, 4x plus 1. So there's nothing to combine right now because I have all this stuff in parentheses. So the first thing that I do as soon as I see those parentheses is our loop-de-loops or distributing. So I'm going to take that 3 and I'm going to multiply it. So 3 times 4x would be 12x. 3 times 1 would be plus 3. And then I'm going to bring everything else down. So bring down your 67, your equals, your 4x, and your plus sign. And now we're back to what we did last lesson. I'm going to look for my like terms. So 67's all alone. I can bring him down. And then over here on the right side, my 4x and my 12x can go together. 4x plus 12x would be 16x. And then bring down your plus 3. Now we need to isolate our variable. So get your x by itself. Okay, the 16's attached to it right now. So we're going to try to move over our 3. So plus 3, we take the opposite of plus and we do a minus. Anything I do to one side, remember we do to the other. So I have 67 minus 3. 67 minus 3 would be 64. Bring down your equal sign and then your 16x. 16 times x, the opposite of times, would be dividing. So I'm going to divide each side by 16 and x comes out to be 4. Okay, let's try another one like that. So number 2, we have negative 76 equals n minus 2 times 6n plus 5. Now this one's a little bit trickier because that number in front of the parentheses is negative. So when I start with my distribution, I need to distribute a negative 2. So negative 2 times 6n would be negative 12n. And negative 2 times 5 would be minus 10. Bring everything else down. So negative 76 equals, and you're in. Now combine your like terms. Negative 76 is all alone, so I'm going to bring him down. N minus 12n would be 11n, and it is negative. And then bring down your negative minus 10. Okay? Let's isolate our variable, so get n by itself. So I have a minus 10, opposite of minus would be plus. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides. Remember that dotted line. Negative 76 plus 10, if you're not good with negatives, use that calculator. Make sure you get this right. Negative 76 plus 10 would be negative 66. Bring down your equals and your negative 11n. Negative 11 times n, the opposite is division. So we're going to divide by negative 11 on each side. Negative 66 divided by negative 11 would be 6. Bring down your equal sign and your n, and there's your answer. Okay, so now I want you to pause the video and try this one on your own. So the next one that you're going to try on your own, this is your example 2, is going to be negative 63 equals negative 3. Open your parentheses, 3 plus 3x. Go ahead and pause and do that one on your own. All right, now we're going to add in another step. Okay, so we're doing the same process, just another step added in. So for this one, we're going to have 2 times 2 plus 4x, close your parentheses, plus 4x equals negative 28 plus 4x. Okay, so first thing that I see is my parentheses, so I'm going to start with distribution. So 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4x would be plus 8x, and then bring everything else down. I'm going to do my dotted line through my equal sign because there's a lot to keep track of. Okay, so on the left side, I have an 8x and a 4x that can go together. 8x plus 4x would be 12x. Bring down that plus 4 equals negative 28 plus 4x. I need to get my x's on one side, numbers on the other. So I'm going to move the 4x because it's smaller, trying to keep them positive. So I have a plus 4x, so I'm going to take the opposite sign and subtract it. Anything I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So this is gone. And then I'm going to bring down the rest. 12 minus 4 would be 8x plus 4 equals negative 28. Now I need to get my numbers together. So since all of my x's are on the left, I need to move the numbers that are on the left. So on the left, I have a plus 4. I need to get this guy alone. Opposite of plus would be a minus 4. Anything I do to one side, do to the other. So those 4's are gone. I'm left with an 8x on one side. Negative 28 minus 4 would be negative 32. I have 8 times x. The opposite of times would be dividing, so I'm going to divide by 8 on each side, and I'm left with x equals negative 4 for my answer. Okay, let's do a couple of those because those have a lot of steps in them. Okay, and if you want, you can write down the problem, pause the video and try it on your own, and then compare your work with my steps. So I have negative 5. Open your parentheses, 1 plus 2n, close them, whoa, oh boy. I don't know what happened there. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so 2n, close your parentheses, equals negative 1 plus 2, open your parentheses, n plus 4, close it. All right, so now I have 2 sets of distribution. So I'm going to distribute this negative 5 first. So negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. Negative 5 times 2n would be minus 10n. And then I'm going to bring down my negative 1 and then distribute this 2. So 2 times n would be plus 2n. 2 times 4 would be plus 8. Now we can do our dotted line and combine our like terms. On the left, I don't have any like terms, so I'm going to bring it down exactly how it is. On the right, I have a negative 1 and an 8 that can go together. So I'm going to bring down my 2n. Negative 1 plus 8 would be plus 7. I need to get my n's together, so I'm going to move the smaller one, which would be negative 10n. If I have a minus 10n, to move it, I'm going to add 10n. That cancels these 10n's. I'm going to bring down my negative 5 and my equal sign. 2n plus 10n would be 12n. Plus 7. Okay, bring that down. Now I need to get my n's alone. So the only thing I have over there with them is the plus 7. The opposite of plus would be minus 7. Anything I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So this is gone. Negative 5 minus 7 would be negative 12 equals, bring down your 12n. 12 times n, the opposite would be dividing, so I'm going to divide by 12 on each side to leave me with negative 1 equals n. And there's your answer. Okay, let's do one more like that. So why don't you guys write it down and try it and see what you get. So number 5, we have negative 6, open your parentheses, 1 plus 2x, close them, plus 3 equals negative 3. Open your parentheses, 3x plus 1, close it. So again, we have 2 sets of distribution. That's what I'm going to start with. So negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. Negative 6 times 2x would be minus 12x. Bring down my plus 3 and my equal sign. Now I'm going to distribute the negative 3. Be careful with that negative. So I have negative 3 times 3 would be negative 9x. Negative 3 times 1 would be minus 3. We can draw our dotted line in and start moving stuff. Before I move stuff, I notice that I have these guys that are like terms, negative 6 and 3. So let's simplify that. So I'm going to bring down my negative 12x. Negative 6 plus 3 would be minus 3. I'm going to bring everything else down, and now I'm going to start moving. So for this one, if I want my x's to be positive, I'm going to move my smaller one, which would be my negative 12x. If I have negative 12x, I take the opposite sign, so plus 12x. To move stuff, we're going to add or subtract. Okay, so these are gone. Bring down my negative 3. Negative 9 plus 12x would be 3x. Bring down your minus 3. I need to isolate my variable, so get 3x by itself. I have this minus 3 attached to them. The opposite of minus would be add. So I'm going to plus 3 on both sides to get 0 equals 3x. I have 3 times x, so I'm going to divide by 3 on each side. And 0 divided by anything is 0, so 0 equals x is your answer. Okay, you guys write this next one down. This is your final example to do on your own. Once you finish this one, you are finished with day 2, and you can move on to the practice. So the last example is negative 2, open your parentheses. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Negative 2, open your parentheses, n plus 4, close them, equals 6n minus 6, open your parentheses, n plus 2. Go ahead and pause and finish this one.